Hey guys, Mike here from Unchained Teacher, and today what I want to do is talk to you about and talk with you about routines and procedures in your classroom. But before I do that, I want to give you the option and chance to download my free guide titled Five Things Great Teachers Get Right. It's five simple things that, as I've been teaching and as I've been observing great teachers, I've seen multiple teachers do. So I just combine those into one quick guide for you to read quickly and hopefully start to implement in your class. I've also started a Facebook group, a public Facebook group for first year teachers or teachers just needing some support and some help, just to kind of give people more than maybe what they're getting at school from other teachers or administrators to improve, hopefully, our teaching, student learning, and our school culture in general. So both of those can be, you can go to both of those in the link in the description below. So feel free to do that. But for today, the three things that really have helped me with routines and procedures, and from what I've seen from other teachers, is having warm-ups every day, routines for getting students' attention, and then giving directions in short and clear instructions. And then I got a bonus for you, how to train your students, which sounds a little weird, but I'll explain that here in a second. So warm-ups, I'm a middle school math teacher. Warm-ups are a huge part of my day, either to start kind of a new unit, and it's more of an exploration warm-up. So, give them a couple minutes to try things that maybe they've never done before, but using the tools that they have. Sometimes it's reaching back from the unit that we just covered. So a certain skill or a certain standard that we're working on, just again to practice those. Other times what I do is I look at our quiz or our test, and I take questions from there and mix them up and break those into my warm-ups throughout the weeks leading up to the test or quiz. So warm-ups are a great way to train students when they come to class. They should get out their warm-ups, whether you have a paper that you print out for them, or I just do them on a line sheet of paper, and they do Monday through Friday. They do one for each day, and then they turn it in. But it's something every day when they come in, they know that they're going to have their warm-ups. They're going to need to grab calculators. They're going to need a pencil. And so basically what we do is the bell rings. I usually am outside, just outside my door greeting students. So I come in. I know some teachers have the warm-ups on the board right away to start. I don't like to do that because what I found is that some students would do it and then just mess around. Other students wouldn't do it at all. So for me, what I like to do is I show up my calendar, what we're doing that day on the board. And when I come in, I greet the students, remind them that we're going to do a warm-up each day because they have 6 teachers and sometimes they forget. I show the warm-up, and then usually it takes about a couple minutes, depending on the warm-up, and then we always go over it. So just a good routine to start your day. I know it works really well with math, but you can really do it in any subject to get your day going. The second one is routines for getting students' attention. For me, this felt weird. And I say that because as a first, second, and third year teacher, especially when you get class sizes into the upper 20s or low 30s, classes can get a little loud, right? So a little obnoxious, a little loud. And when you need to get their attention, either to transition or as the hour is coming to a close and you need to get them out your door, it's really important for you to have a routine that gets your students' attention quickly to get them back on pace. So for me, this is something that I struggled with because growing up, my mom was a second grade teacher. And so we saw a lot of like Quiet Coyote and a lot of what seemed like baby attention getters. So me going into teaching, I was kind of against them, right? I was like, I'm not doing that because they just feel childish to me. But at the same time, however you can get your students' attention quickly, in whatever works for you, you have to do that. So a couple things that I've gotten is, some teachers turn the lights off, right? So they're working or they're getting loud or something, you need to get their attention, you can shut the lights off and you train them. You say, hey, when the lights go off, within 3 seconds, you should be finding me and quieting down, right? or some teachers actually will sing a song. They'll start singing, right? I've seen that done before. What I found works for me that doesn't seem childish is I just count down. So I just, and I count down slowly, right? So it gives them time to hear and to quiet down. But I just count down 3, 2, 1. And then I say, thank you for quieting down and looking at me. So you're counting down, right? The same routine. And I do it a lot in class. So anytime we transition, I do that. And again, it's just to kind of get them in the swing of things, and get them knowing, especially at the beginning of the year, that when you're in my math class, that's how we do things. It seems weird at first, but once you find your attention getter, class will go a lot smoother because you can get their attention, you can give out directions, and then they can go on their way, right? The last one, number 3, is giving directions in short and clear instructions. And I put this in my routines and procedures because what I've seen a lot of teachers do is when they're explaining something, they give all these directions and they're complicated. And when they say go, the students kind of look around, ask other students like, hey, what are we supposed to do, right? And so with what I've seen plus teaching math, I've learned that the shorter you can be in your instructions and the more clear you can be, it really, really helps students. And think about like even yourself learning stuff. If it's short and concise, it's a lot easier to gather. So what I try to do is in my directions or even in my teaching, like when I'm teaching math, I try to keep everything to 3 steps or less. So even if I have more than 3 steps, I try to group them together so that way students get, they can remember, hopefully can remember 3 different things. So for example, today I gave a quiz. So I said, finish your quiz, turn it into the hour bin, watch our next video. So 3 directions, I wrote them up on the board, and then all they had to do was, a lot of students just remembered. Other students asked what they had to do, and I pointed to the board. And it just, again, it helps more students get in the swing of things, and it helps more people remember. So what I like to do is a lot of times I do my attention getter, right? So 3, 2, 1, thank you for looking up at me. And then I go into, here are the 3 things you have to do next, or here are the 2 things. And that just really helps to break it down and get students on the right track. And in the same way, not only to build on that, I guess, the kids have 6 classes a day, right? So if all these teachers are giving all these explanations, super long, super disorganized, or all over the place, it's really hard for people to remember. And then they have their home lives or their sports or music or whatever they do. So if you can make it easier on them, I think they'll go further. And then my bonus for today is how to train your students. This sounds a little weird, but everything you do, you want to try to train your students on how you want them to act or what you want them to do. So for example, in my class, we turn everything into the respective hour that the students are in. That's not a very common thing, right? But you would be amazed at how many times students ask, where do I turn this in, right? So from the very first day, they're turning stuff into the bin. Or for my last hour to put up their chair. Sometimes I'm terrible at remembering, right? But we have a system in place where sometimes I'll ask a student like, hey, you're in charge of reminding everybody to put up your chair. So at the end of the day, you tell me or tell others to put up the chair. So it kind of takes it off your plate a little bit. Sometimes it doesn't work, right? But if you learn how to train your students more of what you want or how they should act or where they should go when you want them to go there, your day becomes a lot easier, right? If every day you're having to re-explain what's going on or re-explain where to go or what to do or where to turn it in, that becomes exhausting, right? And you don't want to have to do that. I've heard a lot of teachers, especially as you start the year, become overwhelmed because they're like, every day I'm saying the same thing to these kids. So if you can train them, and again, be short, be clear, and you're going to have to, at the beginning at least, remind them a lot. Or what I like to do is have them from day one, right? Turn stuff in, do all the procedures you want them to, And then every day, just slightly, it's training your students to do the things that you want them to do and the things that will help them be successful, right? Because if you're all stressed all the time, running around, that does not help your students, right? So those are my tips for routines and procedures. If you would like more tips, go ahead and jump into that Facebook group again that's in the description below. And if you would like the 5 things that great teachers get right, that simple short guide, go ahead and click the link in the description below, and we'll get that to you quickly. So I hope you guys have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon.